On today's show, we're tackling one of the most pressing questions facing the Ottawa Senators at training camp. Who should start on a line with Tim Stützle and Brady Tkachuk?
And we continue climbing up our prospect tier in our organizational value rankings.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today is Friday, September 5th, and Pilsy, it is an absolute tragedy that Dean Brown and Gord Wilson will not be traveling with the team this season because of budget cuts with Bell.
Yeah, that is sad. Those guys are absolute road warriors, and we know they'll miss being on the road, and everyone will miss not having them there. So that's tough, but that's the world we live in. Cuts are happening everywhere.
And Graham Nichols had a great article over with the Hockey News that outlined that the Sens were paying the per diem, the hotels and everything. Other place in the league, it's the broadcaster that is paying that. So with the negotiations ongoing, Senators and TSN 1200, their radio agreement ends after next season. He believes this could be a show of good faith between the two sides, but really the big loser is the consumer. Not only because Dean and Gord are two of the best that have ever been in a broadcast booth on radio. I truly believe that. But it also cuts off one of the most important pieces of the puzzle of the fan experience, and that's knowing what's going on when the team's on the road. Say what you want about TSN 1200's Twitter account not being 100% accurate, and maybe, let's say, putting a little imagination sprinkled into some of their quotes. But Pilsy, who's going to ask the questions before and after the games? Like, it was just Gord Wilson last year, and for the few years before that, basically since COVID, when Bruce Garriock stopped traveling, when Post Media stopped sending him, and obviously Ian's not on the beat anymore. Like, are they going to give Ian a microphone? We're going to have an in-house reporter?
Yeah, I don't know. And we're not going to get the goodies with Gord Wilson, his videos before the games. That's not going to be there. So, I mean, Julian McKenzie hopefully will travel to a lot of these games and will be there for questions. But yeah,
I think he did like 7 or 8 road games last year, which is, I believe, the most of any beat reporter. But still, like, we were up there in road games attended, Pilsy.
Yeah. So it's tough.
Yeah, it really is. So unfortunate, but obviously they'll still do the best they can. And I have a unique angle from this too, because I was producing Leafs games during COVID when Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph had to call it off the screen. And when I tell you they did not enjoy that experience, that would be underselling it. It changed the complete dynamic of how they called games.
Well, I mean, the whole point is to have someone in the atmosphere at the game describing it to a listener that can't see what's happening. So when they're just watching it on the screen, it completely defeats the purpose of it, in my opinion.
And just imagine you're walking around the market listening to the TSN 1200 feed, and you're listening to Dean and Gord call the game, and you're like, oh, wait, they're just literally down the block
over there
in a studio, just sitting there watching the game. But hey, I'm sure they'll do the best with what they've got. But hopefully, hey, if people are loud enough, we saw it with the Leafs. They ended up sending Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph back on the road after initially pulling out of doing that for playoff games, I believe, whether it was last year or the year before. But unfortunate news there. And also probably some unfortunate news as well, Pilsy, that the rollout of this third jersey, and I'm 50-50 on it. I need to see the full setup on ice, skating around. The unveiling, though, has left me with more questions than answers. Like, have we had a nicely lit photo of this jersey?
Not really. I mean, this is one of those things where teams need to hire just like an internet guy to be like, all right, if we unveiled the jersey like this, what do you think the internet's reaction would be? And then they can get a little like tips and tricks. There's certainly an internet guy that would work for this. Not sure if he's going to get the job, but I just think we didn't get to see the name or numbers on it. We didn't get to see what it looks like on the ice.
Well, we did in that initial leaked photo from 75,000 feet away. It was literally like you're showing the moon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they could have, let's keep it at that. They could have done a better job rolling out the jersey, that's for sure. I'm 60-40 in 60% like it, 40% not quite sure. But you really cannot judge a jersey till the players who are on the team are wearing it and they're on the ice and everyone's wearing it. Like, in my opinion, that's how you judge a jersey, because it can look so different just on one guy off the ice. And Chris Phillips did his best job being the model, but I just think it's crazy they didn't put a name and number on it. Like, why not put Phillips 4 on it or something?
Because it's retired. You can't put that on a jersey.
But he can wear it.
I know, of course. I'm just kidding. But look, the details look unreal. The Sens did post close-up photos, and it's going to be that sparkly gold. And for anyone saying they're trying to be the Vegas Golden Knights, I'd like you to please look at what year the Vegas Golden Knights came in the league and when the Sens started wearing gold on their jersey, because I think you're about 26 years apart. So don't give me that. But I don't think the Sens are going to like the results of our poll here. Over 1,000 votes. 44% say meh, and 14% hate them. So that means that 56% of Senators fans, I would say majority voting on this poll, don't like or love them.
Can you click the poll and make it bigger so we can analyze this for those listening? We'll go through it. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. But Ross, I think this is actually a decent ratio because the hate them and love them are almost the exact same. That's kind of what you want. It's almost like when you tell like a good joke, you want half the room to think it's hilarious, and then 51. The other half, well, sure.
Majority.
And then the other half of the room you want to be completely offended. Like, so the fact that they were able to split on our vote, 1,132 votes, the love them and hate them is good. And I think the meh crowd would probably agree with me. It's not that they're terrible. They just need to see them in different forms and different lights and with the players and on the ice and everything. So I put like them, Ross, because that's where I'm at.
I hit it with a meh. I think they're fine. They're perfectly fine. They're going to wear them, I believe, 13 times this upcoming season. And the final breakdown for those listening, it was 44% meh, 27% like them, 14% both love them and hate them equally. So that is the new Senators jersey.
The real question, Ross, though, is, well, there's two. I'll start with, are you going to buy one?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Just because it's been a while. I didn't get the reverse. All right. Well, I guess shout out to Sens. We were sent a reverse retro last time, but I didn't get the all red one. And I don't know if I like this one more or less than that.
Oh, really? I definitely like it more than the all red, because the all red one was just literally their jersey in all red. Like, the design team just went into Microsoft Paint, hit the red paint bucket, and clicked it. Like that.
Probably it was the same year they did the fishbowl photos for the team.
Oh my god, that's so bad. I don't even want to talk about that. Okay, so second question:
Tim Stützle's first ever team official photo.
Yeah, that episode we played the Little Mermaid Under the Sea song to intro the new player photos. It was so bad. Do not bring it up. Don't bring it up. I know you're searching to bring it up. I'm
trying to.
Don't do it. Timmy would hate us for doing that. He's trying to erase that photo from the internet. The second question, Ross, is whose jersey number are you getting on this one?
This might be a Sanderson jersey.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm going Zetterland.
Dude, they put it on. They put it on an upper deck card.
Don't bring it up. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh my god. Oh, that's so bad.
They did our boy so dirty.
You're doing him dirty by digging it up.
No, I'm not.
Timmy, this was not my idea.
No. They all looked criminal.
Connor Brown's was terrible too.
Connor Brown's might have been the most. Anyways,
the players were pissed about that. Like that was
duh.
I don't like. I didn't want to get into this. Why was that a decision made and that was carried on? Like, if you're gonna do fish lens, at least do half of them not fish lens so you can compare. Like, to go full fish lens is wild. Our photographer listeners will understand.
From that to the Senators' top line, where Tim Stützle finds himself as a lock. But who else are locks on the top line? Is it going to be run back with Claude Giroux? We'll dive into the numbers and discuss why there are, well, I'll ask Pilsy, how many options are there to start on a line with Tim Stützle and Brady Tkachuk? That's next. Then we'll get to our organizational value rankings. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Guys, the NFL season is here. The first game was last night, and a little lightning delay is not going to take away from the rest of the excitement of the season. And FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you're going to get yourself $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel's my favorite sports book. I was using it for game one. You got player props, same game parlays, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. Maybe a key player on a team gets ejected before the first snap. You can bet live as everything changes. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
Today's episode is also brought to you by our great friends over at Farm to Fork. Farm to Fork Delivery is the only place you need to go when you want to stock your freezer up with high quality, locally farmed meats. And they're delivered straight to your door. Farm to Fork makes it easy to get high quality steaks, air chilled chicken, wild caught seafood, and more, all with no antibiotics, hormones, or GMOs. Plus, everything comes flash frozen and individually packaged for your convenience. You can just pull out what you need. Derek, absolute beauty, huge Sens fan, and he has not only the online shop going, but you can actually go and say what up to farmtoforkdelivery.ca right in person. And you can find them right off the Carling exit off of the Queensway. Their address is 1570A Carling Avenue. You can go in there, pick up some eggs. They've got all sorts of great stock available for you. So head to farmtoforkdelivery.ca, and if you go into the shop, let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. I'm on their specials right now, and they are so juicy. And I'm not just talking about the steaks. I'm talking about the chicken wings. Buy one, get one special. That's 10 pounds of wings for the price of $5. You got to see it for yourself. That's Farm to Fork with the number 2, farmtoforkdelivery.ca, and go use our promo code LOCKEDON40. That's LOCKEDON40 for $40 off your first order. Farm to Fork, delicious, locally farmed meats delivered straight to your door. All right, Billsy, I'm hearing that music that just fires me up, but all that's going through my head is Under the Sea. I can't get it out of my head now.
Yeah, Sebastian playing on the clams.
Come on.
Classic.
Poor Connor Brown. All right, so let's talk about the Senators' top line. And once upon a time, just for perspective's sake, we're talking about Connor Brown on the Senators' top line. Times have changed. And the Senators have a dynamic duo who were together for the majority of last season, and that's Tim Stützle and Brady Tkachuk. Of course, with Brady's injuries, they didn't play together as much as you would have thought, but they still almost split the entirety of the Senators' 5-on-5 time on ice that one of them was on in the same line. So I think it's pretty safe to say that Travis Green, day one of training camp, you're going to have Tim Stützle at center, Brady Tkachuk at left wing, and that leaves right wing. How many options? And then we'll break down who they are. Do you think that Green is legitimately considering in that spot?
There are 3 real options and 2 fantasy options.
Ooh, let's start with the fantasy options because we're not going to dive into the numbers on those, but we do have 3 legit options.
So people on Twitter are getting excited about the idea of moving Dylan Cousins to the right wing and elevating Shane Pinto to that second line.
Wait till Pinto signs.
Yeah, keep him as a third line center till that happens. Fun. Cool idea. Fun to move the magnets around on the whiteboard like that. Will not happen. And I don't even think it's a good idea.
No, it's not. You got him to be your second line center. You need to have depth down the middle.
Yep. And another fantasy option, Ross, this comes from you.
Eric Brandstrom?
No, they need him in the Swiss League.
Reset the clock.
Yeah. Oh my God, we're talking about Eric Brandstrom. So boring. Let's move on.
What was it? You want to show his fishbowl?
Yeah, we can probably. Ridley Gregg. Ridley Gregg will not be playing on the top line.
I'm obsessed with a world where Brady and Ridley are on the same line.
Yeah, and you're really trying to elevate Ridley's stock when you picked him in the 3rd round of the Sens core.
And he just signed a 4-year extension at a nice number.
Top line contract?
No, but I'm saying you can get more value, right?
Gotcha,
You're not worried like with Shane Pinto, he elevates, all of a sudden he's an $8 million player.
True.
So, yeah, Ridley Gregg was just a fun little option I threw out there. I don't think it's going to happen. I think you're working through pairs, and I think that's a good place to move this conversation. If you're working pairs throughout this lineup, you're definitely starting with Timmy and Brady. Mm-hmm. And I think the other one that's most locked in would be Shane Pinto with Ridley Gregg. And we're going to get to the reason why I don't have the same second option as you. So why don't we start with that? We'll go alphabetical order here. Drake Batherson would be my option here as a legitimate one to start on the top line. I know some people might say, hey, no, that second duo is Dylan Cousins with Drake Batherson. But Drake Batherson is the most offensively skilled player of the 3 guys that we're going to have. And you know Timmy loves to defer. Well, Batherson's the kind of guy that's going to put Timmy in spots where he's getting the puck, where he has no option to defer. Just go look at the video I posted on Sens Central today, where Batherson finds Stützle back door, and there's just no other option than to shoot the puck. No, there's no other option than to shoot the puck. I just think, look, if you're going to get your top line to be an elite one in the league, they have to outscore their opponents substantially. So I want my best scorer in terms of point production on the line that's going to be out there with the most offensive opportunities.
Yeah, I don't hate the idea, but I certainly don't like it, Ross. Put me in the meh category of that idea.
They only played 91 minutes last year together, and they got outscored 4-2 when they were on the ice. Now, we don't have the circumstances. Was it late in games? You're already trailing. You're trying to get a spark. 91 minutes is not a big sample size for those 3 to have played together throughout the entirety of last season. They had a 45% Corsi and a 45% expected goals percentage during that time. So the numbers don't back up my argument. It's just I want my 3 most skilled players together.
And that's where our approach is different. I want to spread the wealth out. So I want Drake Batherson on that second line. I see Cousins and Batherson as a pair that should be together, a combo that makes a lot of sense. I don't love the idea of Timmy and Batherson playing together because they're both two-way or dual threat guys that can't decide whether to shoot or pass, and it seems like they do the wrong option at the wrong time. When they should shoot, they pass it. When they should pass, they shoot it. I don't want those guys together. I want Batherson on that second line. I think it's good to spread that wealth out. I definitely agree with you. Tkachuk, Stützle, Batherson, those are the top 3 offensively talented point-producing players. If you want to stack your top line, that's how you would do it. But for me, that's not how I'm setting up my top line.
So how are you setting up your top line? We're going out of alphabetical order now. I think we end with the obvious one, the guy who played there for the majority of last season, and then we can discuss that. But your number 1 option is?
Fabian Zetterland. It would be a mistake to put anyone else on the top line, in my opinion, Ross. You brought this guy in to be a shooter. The whole discussion about, all right, we need to get a top 6 guy to play with Timmy. It's got to be a shooter. Drake Batherson, he's got a good shot and he can score, but I would not classify him as a shooter. Whereas Fabian Zetterland, this guy, when he gets the opportunity, he can rip it. He had 24 goals in 2023-24 with the San Jose Sharks. That's when he was averaging his most time on ice at 18:51. With the Ottawa Senators, he was only averaging 14 minutes and 18 seconds. Now, obviously, that's inflated and deflated inflated when he was on that top line when Brady was out, and deflated when he spent a bunch of time on the fourth line. When he first got here, they were trying to figure out how to get him in. But that year where he had success, he had over 204, or he had 204 shots, over 200, shooting percentage of 11.8. And when I think of the lines, I think of how play is going to progress. Picture this, Ross. Timmy brings the puck into the zone. We've seen him do it so well, entering that offensive zone, crossing the blue line, being able to dipsy doodle. He gets in the zone. Brady Tkachuk realizes he's in the zone, heads right to the net where he's supposed to be. Fabian Zetterland knows Timmy's not shooting that puck unless there's a gun to his head or he's backdoor from a Batherson pass. So he knows Timmy's going to pass it to him. He gets ready for the one-timer, perfectly on the tee for Zetterland. Brady screening in front, no chance for the goalie. Easy goal, run it back. Do that 82 times, once every game. There you go. I just think it makes so much sense to have Fabian Zetterland on that top line. He has that physical element that's going to punish other teams. When you got a combo of Brady and Zetterland on the flanks, no shift is going to be easy for those top defensemen on the opponent's team. And Ross, if we're talking about numbers, I know the sample size isn't great here. You talked about 91 minutes not being much. Well, 30 minutes also is not much, but 2 goals for, none against. That's 100% goals for percentage. That's good. 69.7 Corsi for percentage and 74.3 expected goals percentage. I just think you got to give these guys more time, because the only time Fabian Zetterland got to play on that top line was when Brady was gone. This makes too much sense to me to at least try. I think it'd be crazy not to start with this as your top line.
But do you not also see a world, and it'll bring us to the other side of the break, where Travis Green runs back the same top 6 that they ran in the playoffs, where it was Tim Stützle, Brady Tkachuk, and Claude Giroux, and then they had Batherson on one side and then Perron on the other, which leaves Zetterland out of the top 6 entirely.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, you're not there for it, but do you think it's realistic?
No.
No?
Look at the extension they just gave Fabian Zetterland.
Yeah, you're right.
You're not putting him on the fourth line. You're not, in my mind, it would make no sense for Travis Green to put him on his checking line, the third line with Pinto and Craig. The only other option, and this is a whole different conversation, so I'll just touch on this, we won't get into it, would be to have Fabian Zetterland play left wing on the second line. Yeah. That there's something there that we can get into later, but you got to start him with Timmy and Brady.
Yeah, I mean, it could kind of be fun to see Pinto, Gregg, and Zetterland.
Yeah, I'm not saying that would be a bad line, but if you're Travis Green, you know how effective a third line is when you're having that exclusively as a, well, I shouldn't say exclusively, but mostly as a defined checking line. And I mean, Zetterland, he does have good play away from the puck and stuff, but I don't know.
Well, we do know
that's a no for me.
We know that Travis Green relied heavily on Claude Giroux as the third man on that top line. So why do we want to change it? We'll dive into the numbers from last season when we come back. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day. All right, Pillsy, so you made your case for Fabian Zetterland. I made mine for Drake Batherson, and you can let us know who your third man on the top line would be in the YouTube comments. We appreciate everybody making us your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day, and starting on Monday, we mean that literally. Once again, off-season mode will be behind us. We will have episodes for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week here. So shout out to the everydayers making us a part of your routine. We truly appreciate it. I'm sure Claude Giroux hasn't appreciated this episode. Hey, why is everyone coming for my job? I enjoy playing with Tim Stützle and Brady Tkachuk. And even though the numbers dipped for Claude Giroux later on in the season and in games that started after 4 p.m. Eastern time, it was still a productive season for him on the top line, Pillsy. 221 minutes together. Even though they got outscored by 2, which you never want to see for your top line, 7-9, 7 goals for, 9 against. all the underlying numbers were heavily in the Senators' favor when they were on the ice. A 60.8% Corsi and a 65% expected goal share. That was a good line.
Yes. I just think it's time for change because Brady's a shooter, but I think you would agree Brady's best attribute is when he's in front of the net, like, and in tight, right? Like, he's not going to be that from range shooter. He can, but it's not his top attribute. And Claude Giroux is not that guy anymore either. And Tim Stützle, he can't have a winger. He can't have two wingers, no offense to Brady, slowing him down, slowing that pace of play down. So I just think it's time. And I think Claude Giroux could be so effective. I know maybe I'm going against what I was just mentioning about the third line, but in my mock lineup, I got Claude Giroux on the third line.
Yeah, and that's fair. And I think he could also help Shane Pinto. We know those two have played well on the power play in years past. Yeah, Ridley Gregg for sure. Guy who grew up loving him while his dad was working for the Flyers. And I think that'd be a cool kind of story too. I don't think he's obviously going to turn back the clock and have that career year he did when he joined Ottawa, setting a career high with 35 goals. But like, I don't know. I still believe in Claude Giroux. And I think that's obvious based on the projections that we put out before he signed a contract. Like, we were way over the high on Giroux. We were plotting like $5 million to keep him. But
well, I mean, total contract. Wasn't it 4.5 if you add the bonuses in?
True. Yeah, the bonuses. So when the Sens win the Stanley Cup, we'll be able to say we're right on that one. I know there's multiple bonuses that are more easier to reach than that particular one, but still had 50 points last year. Like, I just don't want full panic mode if Travis Green rolls out that top line on day one.
Yeah, and honestly, if we're being real, I think he will. But
training camp's also a time to try things. So that's why it's like,
totally.
You should, if even like, it works. You don't need those three on day one of camp. That's where I would go with that.
Yeah, I just think if you have Claude Giroux there, it messes up the whole rest of the lineup. Like, where does Zetterland play? Where does Perron play? I just think it's time for change. And I just think Claude Giroux on that third line, like, you got three guys that can take faceoffs there. Greg, Pinto, and Greg and Pinto's faceoff numbers were good.
Very good.
But if you have a guy like Claude Giroux there, helping them and teaching them even more, or there to take draws, and then I think Claude Giroux is going to get his time on ice on the penalty kill as well. I talked about it a couple episodes ago, how crucial he was on short-handed faceoff percentages among the league, very high up there. So I think Claude Giroux could be a part of a checking line, and then also he can still bring some of that offensive flair. The time is now to switch up the top six. The Ottawa Senators need to score more goals. They need to score more 5-on-5 goals. And having Claude Giroux as a top line guy, I don't think increases the Ottawa Senators' ability to score more goals. And don't get it twisted. I'm not down on Claude Giroux. I'm not saying I think he's washed or not worth it or whatever. I'm just saying it's time for change. And they have a guy that they brought in to be that change in Fabian Zetterland.
The Senators, and this might surprise some people, were better with Claude Giroux alongside Brady and Timmy than when Brady and Timmy played without Giroux as their third player. The shot percentage goes from 60 to 51. The expected goals percentage goes from 65 to 53. Now, they did get a +2 in actual goals scored, and this is all 5-on-5, obviously, versus -2 with Giroux. So it seems like it was an unlucky season in terms of the production when those three were out there together. But then when you actually do the eye test and you're like, well, maybe there's just too much passing going on. And I think if that line stays together, it's going to put an even bigger emphasis on Tim Stützle shooting the puck.
Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, if Claude Giroux is the guy there, Timmy's got to realize he needs to be a little more trigger happy.
The shooter. Like, that should be his mentality. I know Brady's going to get his volume, but he needs to have, like, when I come over the blue line, like, I need to look at how I can make 1-2 quick decisions and get a puck on net as soon as possible. But there are three good options, and it's a long way from where we used to be when Derek Stepan was centering the top line with Tim Stützle and Evgeny Dadonov in the fishbowl season. That's a theme of today's show, is the little fishies under the sea. Well, we've got to see who's coming in next on our organizational value rankings. If you haven't been following along, we end every show with our organizational value rankings. We're ranking all 65 players who are a part of the Senators organization right now. We've, of course, still included Max Gannett, who is the lone player without a contract because Donovan Sebrango inked a one-year extension. We didn't mention that. Pilsy, a minor league signing, could be the top pair alongside Carter Yakimchuk with Belleville. We are not that far up the list, however. We are still in our 8th tier, the prospects tier, and we're going to post all these segments one after another in one video for you that will come out once this exercise is complete. But we are beginning today's show with number 53. And coming in at number 53 on our organizational value rankings is going to be Tomas Hamara. And this could be considered low for some. Former third-round pick, had a great season with the Ontario Hockey League's Brantford Bulldogs. He made it to the American Hockey League right out of the gate and then could not find ice time. So he got sent back for an overage season down there. He's fallen one spot from last year when we had him 52 on this list. He's 21 years old. He's a pro hockey player no matter what now, Pilsy. What do you need to see from Tomas Hamara this year to give you that breath of confidence that we had when they picked him? And it seemed like out of that draft class in 2022, he was the online scouting community's favorite at that point.
Yeah, I still think there's potential for Tomas Hamara. Ross, you asked what I'm hoping to see from him, I believe was your question.
Yep.
Looking at capwages.com or Cap Wages, guys, go check out their website. I think just based on the depth chart in Belleville, Ross, he could be the third pair left shot defenseman, right? Like you're going to have Donovan Sebrango, then probably Jorian Donovan, and then it's between Andonovski and Tomas Hamara. And I think you're giving Hamara those opportunities. Now, who will he be beside? Maybe Cameron Crotty or Djibril Toure could be his partners. I think that would make sense for the third pair. So I think he's going to have an opportunity here. And I think the organization and himself made the right choice, whether that was mutual or what the decision was for him to go back to the OHL. I know it's not great for a guy that age to still be there, but when he was there, he dominated 55 points in 58 games, plus 19. And he also had 6 assists in 11 playoff games with the Brantford Bulldogs too. So I think he's ready to take that next step. And I don't know, Ross, do you think third pair minutes in Belleville would be a good spot for him? Or do you think he would benefit more from an elevated role in the ECHL with the Allen Americans?
No, I think it's time for him to play in the American Hockey League. So I'm with you. I think as long as you can beat out Matthew Andonovski in training camp and assert yourself as a guy who's ready for the grind of the season and the physicality, Hamara could be a guy who actually really plays a great role on Belleville because he does have offensive potential and could be a second power play guy if things break correctly throughout the season. I don't think he starts there, but I think that could be a goal for him, is to have the trust of the coach to put him in offensive opportunities. The year was great. 55 points in 58 games, a plus 19. Couldn't ask for much more with what he did in Brantford, but now Tomas Hamara is going to have to take his game to the next level. And he's been falling a little bit over the years here, Pilsy, in our organizational value rankings, going down from starting all the way up at number 36 to 41 to 52. Now he's down one spot to 53 on our OVRs. Coming in at number 52 on our organizational value rankings, we've got Owen Beckner. And this could be a surprise name for some, Pilsy, a 7th-round draft pick. Usually they don't get the fanfare or any sort of recognition on this type of list, but the numbers were great. And he's playing in a situation where he's in a great conference, the NCHC. They've got North Dakota, Denver, and so on. But he's not on a powerhouse team. However, he's putting up numbers, man. Too many to ignore.
Yeah, I think it's good that we're bringing some light to Owen Beckner here, Ross, because he's a guy that I think kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But with Colorado College in 37 games, 7 goals, 20 assists, 27 points is pretty solid, plus 8.
led the team in scoring.
Yeah, so I think definitely Owen Beckner, it's going to be interesting to see if he can follow that up, because he had seasons in the BCHL, 2 of them, then the USHL, now NCAA. So now returning to the NCAA, and he's got a sense of what that league is like and had success. I mean, is it that crazy to think that he could be point per game guy?
I would really like to see that. Now, like I said, Colorado College not the strongest team. They were 18-1 last year. Like, they weren't a team that was going to be competing for a national championship. But I almost think in certain situations, the competition matters more than your own teammates and your own ability as an organization, or college in this case, to make a noise, because he's going to be the top line center there. He's a left shot. He's 20 years old. And these numbers, this is a freshman season. Like, that's coming out of junior and making an impact right away. So he's a guy who's officially on my radar. I'll say that about Owen Beckner.
Yeah, I think he should be. And for a guy that was drafted as late as him, he was a 7th round pick, right?
204th overall.
Yeah, so that's pretty good value for a guy drafted that late.
Yeah, he was one of the last players on our OVR last season, and then has worked his way all the way up to number 52 on this list. So we're excited to see what's next. He's up 10 spots, though, from 62. So great to see for Owen Beckner on our organizational value rankings. Coming in at number 51, it's Blake Vanek, a part of the most recent draft class for the Senators. Just turned 18 years old in August. Pillsy, one of the youngest players. Also, one of the rawest at 6'4", 205 pounds. The skating needs work, but like, again, I know it's a low level. It's high school hockey. But this kid was having fun out there for sure, with 22 goals, 53 points in 29 games.
Yeah, Blake Vanek certainly was an interesting choice by the Ottawa Senators. I would say it's fair to say that they reached on him a little bit. But when you get a guy with this size, young, raw prospect that had a dad that had a very successful NHL career in Thomas Vanek, I don't hate it. And he dominated in the U.S. high school league in Minnesota with Stillwater High, but he also spent some time in the USHL. My elite prospects is not loading right now, Ross, so maybe you can hit me with his USHL numbers with the Chicago Steel.
Yeah, for sure. And it is worth noting as well with Blake Vanek that he's going to be taking his talents to the WHL. The Wenatchee Wild is where he'll be playing next season. He had 4 goals and 5 points in 9 games in the USHL.
So, I mean, not bad. Small sample size, but 5 points in 9 games is decent.
Yeah, he's a goal scorer too. Like, I'm just hoping for him this season, and people who are going to be watching through AdSense Prospects on social media. Like, I want to see a lot of highlights this season of him scoring goals in that league. I think 25 goals should be the goal for Blake Vanek to achieve this upcoming season, and he's got a long path forward, right? Like, he's a guy who has the late birthday. And he's going to be a long-term project for the Ottawa Senators.
Definitely, yeah.
But he's creative and he's fun. And the Ottawa Senators didn't have really that type of prospect in their organization, or enough of them. So I like the swing on upside for Blake Vanek, who makes his debut on our organizational value rankings, coming in at number 51 overall. Coming in at number 50, friend of the show, Hoyt Stanley, had a great season with Cornell. He's never going to be the type of player that jumps off the page offensively or puts up big numbers that will turn heads, but Steady Eddie is the name of the game for Hoyt. And at 6'3", 204, he's got great size, great skating ability, plays a premium position as a right shot defenseman. And I think he's going to be a pro hockey player. It's just what more can he be from that?
Yeah, he's not going to be a point-producing guy, but he's got good skills, good hockey IQ, and our friends over at Elite Prospects, Ross, they had him in the top 10 of their list of Senators prospects. I believe he was, 7 or 8?
Yes, 8.
So they think highly of him, and I think as a guy that was the first selection for the Ottawa Senators in their draft year, 4th rounder, He's got potential, and quietly he's doing a good job over at Cornell.
Yeah, he is. And like I said, the numbers aren't going to jump off the page. 13 points all season, but plus 14, plays big role, big minutes. And it's going to be an interesting season for him, in the sense of like, he's probably thinking like, hey, like a good season here, and who knows what the educational side of it is. Obviously it's an Ivy League school. It's a place where players want to stay and fulfill their educational requirements, but he's going into his junior season, Pillsy. Like,
Yep.
this is, hey, like, are you signing time for Hoyt Stanley after this upcoming season? Or the Sens are going to have to see if they have room on the right side. Obviously, they've drafted a lot of right shot defensemen recently, including their last 2 first-round picks. But we like Hoyt Stanley for 108th overall pick. Good value in the draft, and he comes in at number 50 on our organizational value rankings, which brings us to number 49, a new friend of the show, Djibril Toure. Just had him on last month. This guy has an infectious personality. He's an enormous human being, 6'7", 217 pounds, late bloomer, 22 years old, 1 year left on his contract that he signed as an undrafted free agent after having a successful 2023 rookie tournament as an invite there with the Ottawa Senators. But he screams 6th defenseman in the NHL at some point, whether it's in 2 years, 4 years, or 6 years. I think that he's got everything in the prototype, from the size, the meanness, the good first pass, a little bit of offensive upside that you're starting to see become more prevalent as he becomes more confident in his own game. I really like this player, and I think of all the players, and he's up 6 spots for us, but like, he's really caught my attention from a guy who was just a prospect to a guy who could next year on this list be a legit prospect, guy who we have ranked even higher than this.
Yep, I agree. I see the vision for Djibril Toure, Ross, and I want to see him play the entire year in Belleville. He spent time in the ECHL last year. They brought him up, and then once Belleville's year was over, he played in the playoffs in the ECHL. I think you want him on this team. He's one of those guys that when he's on your team and on the ice, you feel a little stronger. You can stand a little taller out there because you got a guy that can back things up if it gets heated physically, or you gotta toss the gloves and have a scrap. That's not someone as an opponent you want to see as a possible fighter, Djibril Toure. And we talked to him. He was working on his fighting this offseason. I would love to see, Ross, a third pair on Belleville. How about Thomas Humra and Djibril Toure? Like, that's good yin-yang, in my opinion. Humra can be the offensive guy that carries the puck up the ice, and Djibril can be the physical shutdown guy. So I think he's got a real good opportunity, and I think Coach David Bell likes him in Belleville. So I think we're going to see a big season from him in the AHL.
And he made it clear to us, he scored on every goalie at Dev Camp. He's looking to refine that offensive game a little bit more. And I think if he does that, then he will be certainly on the map of a guy. I don't think this is the year for him to get a call up, but he's going to be itching for one, whether it's this year or next. Djibril Toure up 6 spots, comes in at number 49 on our organizational value rankings that will continue on Monday here on Locked On Senators. Pillsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Final thoughts for me. People watching on YouTube, you'll notice Ross and I are wearing the exact same plain black t-shirts. This was not done on purpose. It's not on Friday we wear black, or we didn't coordinate this. It's just a happy coincidence. So you're looking really good today, Ross. Real sharp.
Thanks, man. You always look great. So I figure if I just say it to you, it's just kind of like, well, what? You don't look good other times? No, man. We're looking sharp here. Hey, we're getting the black going today, and who knows? Maybe we'll both wear white t-shirts on Monday. We are extreme fashionistas here on LOSP.
Look out. Look out. That's why people watch the YouTube, Ross. They want to see our fashion choices.
Exactly. What hoodie is Ross wearing today?
Yeah, I can't believe it. Rare sighting Ross Levitan not wearing a hoodie. This guy wears a hoodie 365 days a year, typically, no matter the temperature, no matter the location. Big shorts and hoodie guy.
With Burks.
So it is weird seeing you not in a hoodie, Ross.
Shorts, hoodie, Burks is...
And maybe a toque?
Just an elite outfit. No. Just a ball cap. I got my ball cap on. It's freezing here, by the way, today too. So it's
cold in Ontario too.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's neither here nor there. We do want to wish everyone a very fantastic weekend coming up, and I think it's time to mention that next weekend, not tomorrow, but next weekend, we will have Senators hockey. The rookie tournament will be going on at the Bell Center. You made it through the entire off season. Rookies will report to camp. Then the vets will follow. And then the preseason. And then the real thing starts October 9th. Senators taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll be with you every step of the way. Be a friend. Tell a friend about Locked On Senators. There are a couple of opportunities if you're looking to advertise your company with the show. We appreciate everybody making us your first listen each and every day. Hey, if you advertise with the show, maybe we'll even wear your merch instead of black t-shirts on occasion.
There you go.
Wow. All right, for today, we say goodbye. Thanks so much for watching, listening, and engaging with the show. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.